Welcome to the new episode of the EquiTalks. I'm your host, JC De Guzman. This is the podcast where I talk about stocks and strategies so I can help you learn how to trade independently and invest profitably. If you've missed our previous episodes, I would recommend that you visit our website at www.equilist.com. That is spelled EQUILYST.com, and then you click on Learn, and then you will see EquiTalks Video, EquiTalks Audio, and the EquiTalks Note. If you are a visual learner, click on the EquiTalks Video so you will be able to watch our videos from YouTube. If you are an auditory learner, click on the EquiTalks Audio so you can listen to this podcast which is hosted via SoundCloud. If you would love to read instead of watching or listening, then you can click on the EquiTalks note and you will see the summary or the transcribed versions of these EquiTalks episodes. Alright, so we are now on the ninth episode of our EquiTalks program, and today I'd like to talk about Metropolitan Bank and Trust Company, or MBT. In this discussion of this particular stock, I'll be talking about not only about my technical analysis, I'll also check if it has some dividend announcements so I can give you some tips on what you should do with that. Plus, I'll share with you my overall sentiment and some recommended plans of actions or trade setups, regardless if you already have MBT or you still have it in your watch list. So let's check out first if it has some dividend announcements. For 2019, it had one last February 26, 2019. That was its ex-dividend date for the 1 peso per share cash dividend. I'm still seeing here one more dividend type, which is stock dividend. It's 13% stock dividend. However, the ex-dividend date is yet to be announced, so let's watch out for that. But once it's available, this is my advice to you. If you would like to take advantage of the dividend play, of this stock dividend play for MBT, you should buy before the ex-dividend date so that those newly bought shares will qualify in the computation for the stock dividend. However, if you will buy on or after the ex-dividend date, then those new MBT shares will no longer qualify for the stock dividend. I hope you get that. That's for the buyer side. Now let me move on to the seller side. If you will sell your MBT shares before the ex-dividend date, then those shares will no longer be qualified in the calculation of the dividend. However, if you will sell on or after the ex-dividend date, then those shares will still be computed for the dividend. Okay, so that's how it goes when it comes to buying or selling dividends before, on, and after the ex-dividend date. I hope you got something useful from that discussion. Now let me check on the chart of MBT. MBT closed today at 77 pesos and 70 centavos. This red candlestick is still above the 10-day simple moving average and of course above the 200-day simple moving average. However, I prefer to see this 10 SMA moving above the 50 SMA, which is the red line here, because when that happens, and if the price is above the 10 SMA, that will put MBT in a confirmed bullish position, not just in the short term, but also in the long term scale. But right now, technically speaking, MBT is bullish both in the short term and in the long term. However, the alignment of the moving averages is still not in a perfect position, so we can say that it is, quote unquote, perfectly bullish as far as the alignment of the moving averages is concerned. Speaking about the volume for today's volume, although I think it's below 50% of the 10-day volume average of MBT. What does this mean to me then? If it's a red candlestick and volume is less than 50% of the 10-day volume average of the stock, to me it means that MBT investors or traders are not yet willing to really zero in to the idea of selling their MBT shares. In other words, it seems that they have not seen strong reason for them to really join the selling sentiment of the other traders or investors of MBT. So, what now? There's a possibility now, I think, for MBT to just continue trading sideways. Which particular range? I think that would be between 75 pesos and this one here, 75 all the way to 80. Okay, 75 all the way to 80, or maybe 79.8 all the way to 80. So it's not too complicated. Let's just round up those numbers. So that would be 75 all the way to 80 pesos. Let me draw a line as well here. There you go. So it's there's a possibility. I'm seeing a possibility for MBT to just continue trading that range. Okay. However, that sentiment, that outlook may change. It's subject to change if MBT will start to show a volume that's above its 10-day volume average. So let's say on Friday, tomorrow, we see a red candlestick and the volume is above the 10-day volume average. That means then that MBT investors or traders have been convinced, have seen a convincing reason for them to sell their MBT shares. However, if even if let's say tomorrow will be another red candlestick, but the volume will still be, below less than 50% of the 10-day volume average, then I will maintain the exact same sentiment today, which is MBT might just continue to trade the range between 75 to 80. Unless and until there's a change, there's a significant drift or change in the volume, as soon as the volume crosses or moves out of the 10-day volume average, then it's either the price will continue to move downward, it might break down below 75, or it will bounce away from 75 and all the way to breaking out above 79 or 80 pesos per share. Okay, so let's wait and see. It's too early to tell whether MBT will just extend its trading the range scenario right now, or it will break out above 80 pesos tomorrow or next week or whatnot. Okay. Now for the net foreign trade for MBT for 2019 year to date, I would say that MBT is on a net foreign, more or less net foreign selling. Okay, for MBT. MACD remains above the signal line, so technically speaking, it's still bullish. It's still in a bullish position. That's the momentum, the prevailing momentum right now. Um, Risk level wise, MBT still has a low risk level because of its historical volatility score of 41%. Okay, the major support that I'm seeing here against 75, the major resistance is at 84.70. The midterm resistance is at 79.80 or 80 pesos per share. Okay, take note that this support level at 75 is the intersection between the 50 and the 200-day simple moving averages. Okay, now let me discuss the okay, now let me talk about the price volume distribution, my price volume distribution analysis for MBT. Remember today it closed at 77.70. Its intraday low is 77.30 and its intraday high is at 78.90. The net foreign selling, MBT is on a net foreign selling worth, it's just a significant amount today. It's a net foreign selling worth nearly 5 million pesos. Okay. Now there's an outstanding price point here. Okay, Ed, this is where you should start cutting the video. Dito mo simulan ulit yung pagdating sa top. Okay, Ed, dito mo ikat. Dun sa part na nung nag-switch ako from here, from the chart, bumalik ako sa price volume distribution. Dito mo palang sisimulan ha. Ikat mo. Mga pusa at aso kaninang ingay eh. So, so dito na ako magsisimula sa price volume distribution analysis ko. Ikat mo yung nung galing ako dun sa kabilang chart papunta dito. Ikat mo buo yun. Okay? Okay, game. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's now talk about the price volume distribution analysis for MBT. Remember that MBT closed at 77.70 and I've noticed that there's a very slim net foreign selling today. That's only worth about 5 million pesos. Okay. Now there's one outstanding price point that got about 38% of today's volume, and that's the closing price, which is 77.70. So I'm not going to give you a range because this one is really an outstanding one. But since it's registered towards the lower half of today's trading, meaning to say it's close to the intraday low than closer to the intraday low than to the intraday high, then my advice is that you monitor MBT from 77.70 below. Okay? Meaning to say, if you are going to trade MBT, okay, if you're going to trade MBT, you monitor the price below 77.70, and if you can still afford to wait it near 75 pesos per share. Okay, wait for a pullback near that support, 75 pesos. Okay, so that's how I come up with an idea or with a strategy on where to wait, as to where to wait by just doing the price volume distribution analysis. Okay, there you go. Now, if and when the the bearish volume continues, once it hits 75, then I would suggest that you do a downward adjustment on the price that you need to monitor. And if you happen to be a subscriber of Equilist Analytics, I strongly recommend that you post a request for my latest analysis in our private clients forum so I can give you the latest technical analysis, price volume distribution analysis, and my top 10 players analysis for MBT right there in our private clients forum. If you already have MBT and assuming that your average price is above, whether your average price is above or below the current price, it's an evergreen advice to keep or to stick with your trailing stop loss. Just in case you forgot to, let's say you don't know you didn't know what trading stop loss is until you heard or watched this video, then here's my suggestion. If your average price or average cost is higher than 77.70, you calculate your trailing stop loss from your average price. Let's say your average price is 80 pesos and you can only risk up to 10% of your capital. How should you compute your trailing stop loss then? Well, you get 90%. What's 90% below 80 pesos? That's your trailing stop loss. Okay? Of course, you will have to adjust the percentage, depending on the percentage of your risk tolerance. If you have 5% risk tolerance, then the question is, what's 95% below 80? Assuming 80 is your average price. Simple arithmetic, right? That's how you do it. Now, if your average price is lower than 77.70, which is the closing price today, then I would suggest that you calculate your trailing stop loss not from your average price anymore, but from the current price, which is 70.7. Okay? So that's how you do the trailing stop loss strategy. Um, if you would like to know more about this, there's a video that I recorded and a newsletter that I wrote in Filipino or Tagalog. It's available for Equilist Analytics subscribers. It's in the newsletters tab. It's in the videos tab. You can watch. You can read that newsletter so that you will learn more about how you can exactly do how I do this trailing stop loss strategy when I trade. Okay. So that's it. So my overall sentiment for MBT is neutral to bearish. So it could just continue to move sideways within 75 to 80 pesos per share. Okay. So again, this is the ninth episode. We're already in the ninth episode. Ooh, ninth episode of our EquiTalks. And today we've discussed MBT. Again, I'm JC De Guzman, your host. I hope you've learned something today. Feel free to share this EquiTalks episode on your social media account. Thank you and have a good day.